Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And it's time for another daily dose of Dismal Disney.
Why don't we just start calling it 4D?
4D, yeah,
well,
it's easier.
Well, that's PB. It's Clownfish TV in 4D.
In 4D. Yeah, so we're going to talk about this. Geeky saw this earlier today, that there is an ad out there that Biden is actually using the Disney layoffs to make a case for voting for him. Now, normally we don't get all that political here on Clownfish TV. We actually like to stay mostly apolitical. But in this particular case, it's really interesting because if the Democrats had their way, Walt Disney World would not be open either.
Yes, but beyond that, I think it's in poor taste. And I would have been saying that if it would have been a Trump ad too. I don't care if it's a Biden or a Trump ad. I think either way, it's kind of in poor taste.
Yeah, so we're basically using Disney cast members. Of course, anything goes. I mean, election season, anything goes.
Well, this year more so than I've ever seen it.
Yeah, and I gotta be honest. I am very afraid for what's going to come on Wednesday, the day after.
Well, I don't know. There'll be an announcement of who won for a while because they're saying ballots could be turned in up to 3 days after and all this other crap, depending on what state you're in. So it's not going to be the next day anyway.
So this is on Blog Mickey. They post a link to the video. You can go out on YouTube and find it. We're not going to play it, but they basically talk to some cast members who say that they do not believe they would have been laid off if Trump was not in office. Again, I'm just pointing out.
If ifs and buts are candies and nuts, we all have a wonderful Christmas. I mean, I don't care if it was Trump or somebody else in office. I don't think it would have mattered who was in office. I think that it was already in here. It was going to hit the fan no matter what. I don't think, it's just a big long thing. But I think it's kind of SH to be using people that got laid off for a political ad.
Yeah, but this is how it works now. Anything goes. Anything goes. So coming from blogmickey.com, a new ad by former Vice President Joe Biden called the 28,000 families tells the story of a former server at Disney, one cast member who lost her job as part of the 28,000 domestic theme park cast members who were laid off. In the ad, which you can watch below, Bessie says that she does not believe she would have been laid off had President Trump taken the proper precautions in response to COVID-19. The ad highlights the struggles that many families are facing now as more than 18,000 cast members in Florida and roughly 10,000 in California are jobless. We're going to talk about this because it's getting worse, and I think it's going to get worse after the holidays.
It's not worse, than that, but it might get worse after the holidays.
It might get. If they can't get Disneyland open, it's going to get worse. Disney CEO Bob Chapek has been in a public back and forth with United States Senator Elizabeth Warren over decisions. That's what we're calling it, back and forth.
Basically the stuff that Iger did.
Right.
It's Iger's fault. I mean, the stuff that she's mad about was mostly the stuff Iger had done previously.
We've said this before. If you follow piratesandprincesses.net, and we're going to talk about that, Geeky's blog, that Bob Iger overspending is Disney would have been in a better position to withstand the damage done by the shutdown had Bob Iger not plunked down $70 billion on Fox, which was a worthless acquisition.
Not mess up Star Wars to the place no one really went to see it, the last movie, as much as the other ones, and so, et cetera, et cetera.
So they talked about, Elizabeth Warren, the back and forth was basically, why were you guys so shitty to your cast members when you gave your executives full pay?
Here's what I don't understand, okay? I'm going to say this. Why now? You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, where were they months ago when they needed to get these things open and they needed help and stuff? People weren't getting their unemployment things put through or whatever. Where were these people then?
Well, it wasn't really, we weren't into the swing of election season.
That's what I'm saying. So it's kind of, I'll give Warren, I'll go out there calling them out, but to what end, I don't know. And then, now Biden's using it as a political ad. And I'm sorry, I just think that this was kind of really tacky. And like I said, if it had been Trump doing the same thing, I still would have called it tacky. Because I think it's tacky either way.
Yeah, you can see this ad out there. I will put a link, I think, in the description. But look, anything goes right now, but it's just ironic that they're blaming Trump for layoffs at Disney World. Can you imagine the number of layoffs had Disney World had to remain closed like Disneyland? Disneyland, we don't know when it's going to open, because Governor Newsom in California will not give them the green light to open until they hit yellow, which is God knows when. That's basically near the end of the pandemic. is when they can reopen Disneyland. And that's a Democratic governor. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. I mean, I'm not. Hindsight's 2020, no pun intended. And I don't think I don't care who has been in office, whether it be Trump or somebody else. And we're not. If you know us, we're not gigantic fans of Trump. I don't care who would have been in office. I think this was going to happen either way. I think stuff was going to go down. It might have been look a little bit different, but I think you're going to have similar outcomes. This whole thing is I don't know what you can blame it till the cows come home on whoever, but at the end of the day, where are we at now is what you need to look at. And the fact that California can't be opening, they won't let it open. That's playing into it. The fact that because there's this pandemic, they can't put as many people in the parks, and they have to cut back on things. This is going to happen. It's happening all across the country, not just at Disney. The only reason that they're focusing on Disney is because they're trying to leverage it for an election, which is what I think is wrong.
Yeah, well, this is all about getting Florida,
Yeah, it's all what it's about.
But again, if they didn't have DeSantis in there pushing to keep things open, then Disney would be completely screwed, and more than 28,000 people probably would have been laid off.
Some people disagree that he shouldn't have opened anything, and that's your point of view. You could think whatever you want, but had he not opened anything, Disneyland, we'd be losing a lot more employees than what got laid off.
Yeah, so it's going to be a while, and unfortunately, I personally think there are going to be a lot more layoffs. I think this is round one. We haven't gotten the Q4 earnings in yet.
We already know they're shifting direction, quote unquote. So that's going to lead to people being let go.
Right. So we're going to talk about the layoffs. But yeah, currently, just as of Wednesday, Governor Newsom still will not address. He won't even name.
No,
Disneyland.
he won't even. He will not. He refuses.
He refuses to name it.
And that's what gets me. He clearly has a bias here, because even when he was going to announce that they were going to give the announcement of what the guidelines were, he was almost like it was almost like you see him like just struggling to say the word.
Say the D word. Say the D word.
Yeah, it was kind of like that. And now he won't even mention it. I just think the whole thing is just puzzling. How it's being spun and different depending who you talk to. It's just weird.
Yeah, and as we understand it, again, back channel from Disney insiders is that Disney thought they had this. Mm-hmm. They thought that they were going to be they were already planning to reopen in November, and then this happened, and now it's just become this huge
They
cluster.
weren't expecting him to say that, hey, big parks can't open. And so they're like, well, that wasn't planned.
Yeah, but I mean...
But he's on our side, I thought.
That's it. You thought he was on your side, but he's not. They asked him specifically about Disneyland on Wednesday, and he did not acknowledge Disneyland by name. He said, you bring up one theme park. California has dozens and dozens of theme parks. You bring up one particular operator of a theme park that does things very, very differently than other operators. He won't...
Wow.
You have theme parks that are really cities that operate hotels and restaurants, not just organized around carousels and other amenities. You see others that are out on beaches and boardwalks. That's very, very different. But we won't say the D word because people are pissed.
Yeah. Both citizens and people that work at Disneyland. So yeah, I just can't wrap my head around, so you have that. Disney is doing really badly. One of the reasons is because Disneyland can't open. You have a Democratic governor who is really, really, really refusing to do anything and saying it's basically keeping it shut down. And then you have the Disney chief medical officer saying, we've gone around with top scientists and everything else. We're doing everything they say. It's working other places in the country. You're just being difficult. And then you have Biden put this ad out in Florida. And I'm just sitting here like, well, one, why are you leveraging this? And two, it's like, this doesn't make sense. Frankly, it just doesn't make sense. That's just it. It doesn't make sense. That was my hand on the table because it doesn't make sense.
There you go. It's angry rage, Geeky. Hit it with your shoe.
I mean, at least be consistent. I don't care if that's their stance is, but be consistent across the board.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at. I'm just like, there's no consistency here.
A pissing match. It's basically there are a bunch of out of work people that are getting caught up in a political pissing match.
Yes, that's what I'm mad about. Like we always say kids are off limits. These people have enough crap to deal with because of all the political bullshit. They don't need to be caught in the middle of it for political ads on top of it. If you want to do something for these people, go donate to the cast member food pantries, or go to the Amazon wish list for these places that are actually out there helping the cast members that are laid off. Do something to help them. Go do that.
Yeah. I agree. You should do that. So this is coming from Let's see. This is Disney themselves.
Yeah, they said Scott Gustin always puts this cool stuff up. He had put this up that Disney. This is a notice they gave. That's basically what's going to be laid off. This is on top of ones they've already had. So at this point, it's putting people over. It's putting over 18,000 of the layoffs on Disney World. So Disneyland, but Disney World's a lot bigger, but Disneyland's only going to face 10,000 or so.
Yeah, well, Disneyland is, people who haven't been to both parks don't understand the difference. Like, Disneyland is a fraction of the size.
Disney World's much larger.
Disney World
has a lot more employees.
But I mean, this is catastrophic. Just at Disney World, almost 11,000 people. We've got main gate. So these are other employees, even at the airport. They're laying people off.
Celebration, different places and stuff. So so that's the ones they notified that they're going to be laid off by December 31st. Or they're laid off on December 31st. This doesn't count the ones they've already done layoffs for. That some of them are already gone, and we're talking over 18,000 at this point.
God, well, they're talking 28,000 total.
What's it? Well, they said they said that.
But that's, I think, round one.
I agree with you. I think that is round one.
I think it's going to get worse. And we saw the entertainers got laid off. Now, Disneyland, the LA Times, put a story up. How are they going to... Are you guys defending Newsom? I don't understand why.
That's what I'm saying. It's all over the place.
Yeah, you guys
take a side and stick to it.
So you're going to defend Newsom's decision to shut stuff down. So, of course, people are going to lose their jobs. You can't open...
You can't have it both ways. That's what I'm saying. That's what all this is. It's like you're talking on both sides of your mouth, and you can't have it both ways. And I don't care if it would have been, a Republican situation. This has nothing to do with which side you're on. This is everything to do with the fact that I don't understand it. It's like, you're letting them hug you and hit you at the same time. I just don't get it.
It's an abusive relationship.
It is. It's like, yes. This whole thing is like with Newsom and like the governor and then Disney and then employees and this whole political thing. It's like an abusive relationship. I'm just like, what is going on?
Yeah, you guys Disney's in an abusive relationship with the state of California right now. But Universal Studios Hollywood laid off 7,000 people, 10,000 people at Disneyland.
Well, what else are they going to do?
They can't open. You can't open. And he won't even address it. They had that protest, and they only had like 20 people show up for the protest.
And a lot of them were just people who wanted the park to open because they were guests and they wanted to support cast members.
Right. There should have been a lot more anger. I would have been angry. I think they honestly thought it was going to open back up.
I don't know. I just think all I'm saying is, at the end of the day, it's like you said, an abusive relationship, and I just think it's in poor taste to be using it as a political ad. I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
It's just crap. I don't care. If it had been somebody else, there probably would have been just as many problems. And no one could expect this. It wasn't like a procedure for something like this. You know what I mean? And it depends which doctor you talk to. I have relatives that are doctors. I know doctors. They say something completely different than some other doctors will say that they cite. I mean, everybody has a different opinion depending on who you talk to. And that's both professionals and the common person. So I don't think it would have mattered who was in charge. There would have been a shitstorm no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty much an unprecedented situation. Now, I think there will be protocols in place going forward. I mean...
Well, yeah, they're going to, because now it's like, oh, shit, we got to do something.
Yeah, so Disney, you might want to take some of that mad money you were spending and make sure you have enough for at least a year or two of wages.
That won't
coffer.
It's going to take them years to get to that point where they can put that money back.
Well, it's going to take them 20 years, I think, 20, 30... No. I think it was longer than that to pay off the billions they borrowed.
Some of them were like short term, and some of them were like 40 years.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
I mean, they owe so much money now. They had to borrow so much money at the beginning of the year, and they still had to lay all these people off. But let's just shut down the states and keep laying people off.
Yeah, there you go. No, in the meantime, though, seriously, you can go and look for the cast member pantries.
Yeah.
And you can donate to those people. They make sure they provide food for the laid off employees. They're doing other movements to try to raise money for these people in trouble. If you want to help cast members, you can do it that way. Because honestly, even I don't understand to what end. Okay, so I got laid off because of Trump, and we should vote for Biden. And what's that going to change?
They'll just
how's that going to fix it right now? It's not going to fix it. So why leverage people that are victims of the situation for what? And I just think it's trashy. And like I said, if Trump had done the same thing, I would be saying the same thing about him.
Yeah.
I don't care who. This is not about politics. This is about something that I think is a really crappy behavior.
Yeah, so we're gonna wrap this up, I think.
Yeah.
But here we go. Hopefully, I want the damn election over with. So
Me too. Both of you do better.
Yeah, just get this over with and let's move on, please.
For God's sakes, we're tired of it.
All right, so we're gonna wrap it up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.